Yeah, what's the positivity rate?
No, they didn't.
Ooh.
Hold on 1 second.
Let me turn my,
17 what? 17 for one. I think Grant County had percent. 46.3. Blanche, can you hear me okay? Okay. I can't hear you.
Just go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so I'm just going to start my report. My name is Jennifer Robinson. I am the PhEP coordinator for Granite County. I just want to clarify, I am not a nurse. I read in the newspaper, you guys, somebody put I'm a nurse and I'm not. I'm just the PhEP coordinator for Granite County. I am sorry, I am not in person. Jackie Bolster, the DES for Granite County, informed me that the pass was full of sheet of black ice. And per the sheriff's office, there's some sanding going on, so I didn't want to risk going down that pass at this time. As of 7:50 this morning, Granite County has 17 active COVID cases, which is better than 2 weeks ago. I mean, Jackie was pushing 50 to 60 cases, so 17 is amazing right now. There is one COVID case in the hospital. Please note that there is no COVID cases in Granite Medical Hospital. So this one COVID positive case that is in the hospital is in a hospital outside of Granite County at this time. There have been 5 deaths in Granite County for COVID. I believe it's in the past 10 days, 3 have passed away of COVID. It's been a sad time for all of us in public health for these 3 passings. FDA has approved the Pfizer for 5 to 11-year-olds, but the CDC is still investigating for this vaccine for the 5 and 11. So at this time, we cannot give the Pfizer to 5 and 11 until the CDC and the state have given us, the public health, the guidelines. Public health will be doing boosters of Moderna on Mondays at the Drummond office and Wednesdays at the Phillipsburg office. So please call Jackie at 370-5060 to make an appointment. We are doing 20 boosters on Monday and also on Wednesdays at this time. We are also doing first and second vaccines. So if anybody needs a Moderna, they can come in at the same time. Just make an appointment with Jackie. Or if you want your flu, we're willing to give. You can take the flu and the Moderna at the same time, so you don't have to wait in between vaccines. Again, please call Jackie at 370-5060 to make an appointment for Drummond or in Phillipsburg. We will be doing the Pfizer booster at the Drummond office on November 15th. And the positivity rate for Granite County through the hospital for COVID testing is at 17.1, which has dropped tremendously in the past 2 weeks. And that is my report for you guys.
Unmute. Sorry, Jen, we're having issues. All right, Jen. I can't figure out how to put the volume off on my iPad, the sound off. Now can you hear us?
Is it that or is it?
It's this one.
Yeah, church people need to use it.
Now the speakers aren't gonna work.
See, it's the iPad. that, because I like those.
Anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, we're gonna go back on amendment 3 to FEP task order 2021, 2022, discussion and decision. I read that. I didn't understand it.
Blaine, can you shed any light on, Leanne sent some direction on,
Yeah, so there's some more, they have some more money for some more duties. And I talked to Leanne and Jackie and they're good with doing it all. And so they were, it was acceptable to them for the commission to do it right. Let's see here.
So how much more money and how much more duties?
So reading over that, it looked like the amount was the same that we were going to be receiving. And like number 7, there was, like 1 through 6 remained the same. Number 7, there was a change. Number 8 and 9 remain the same, 10. So there's different duties that were added to this, is that?
Yeah. And my understanding was there was supposed to be some more monies here. So.
So we're not changing anything. We're accepting what this is because I'll be doing everything as is, as we are now. So there's going to be no change in anything, but there is amendment 4 coming, and I believe that's the amendment that has the more monies into it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this one, we're not changing nothing. Everything stays the same as amendment 1 and 2. So this really isn't nothing new that we've been doing already. It's just amendment 4 that's coming in. As soon as you sign this one, we'll get amendment 4. And I believe that's the one that has the extra money into it.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, because I didn't see any extra money in this.
No, not yet.
okay, is there a motion to do this?
I make a motion that. What do we do? So we accept amendment 3 and we'll be getting amendment 4 soon. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Second.
All those, any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so now we're on County Board of Health updates, recommendation, decisions on infection control policies and other issues. And you said Mike wasn't gonna be here?
yeah, Michael Clark isn't gonna be here. Dr. Khan is on, but she needed to run and see a patient, but she is logged on and hopefully she is back soon.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
Did anyone put in for the board position?
If not,
Come on, guys.
What are we supposed to say?
I don't know, start talking.
No, I didn't hear Blaine. Did anybody apply for the open position for the Board of Health yet?
No,
No,
No, okay. Was it posted in the paper yet?
it's ran for 2 weeks and I just ran another notice for all the vacant positions that should be running here soon.
Okay, Billy, maybe if you can send me the position information, maybe I can talk to Jackie and we can put it on the public health's Facebook page as well.
I can do that.
Perfect.
I'm back if that helps.
Hi, Dr.
Okay.
Khan.
I didn't hear any of that, but I just got back in the room, so.
okay, Dr. Khan, did you have something to say then?
No, I heard something about a physician statement, so I didn't know if there was something I could answer or not, but I can catch up later too.
Well, she just wanted to know about the open board position and that there's no applicant.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
nobody has anything to say, so.
The mayor, I think, has.
Oh, Mayor?
Thank you. I just wanted to let you know, I came up here to find out if someone had gotten on board with that. So also, if you could send this stuff to Reed, I will promote it tonight at my meeting.
Yes.
And I'll start talking to people. and do the best I can.
Good.
All right. Okay. Other than that.
Sounds
thank you guys.
good.
Watch your step out there.
Yeah, thanks.
Try not to shoot.
Could you guys hear him all right?
Just pieces of it.
Okay.
You just let him know that he was gonna.
He's gonna bring it up at his meeting and try to get some.
Step forward,
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
yes, ma'am.
We're fine.
Now say something.
Now
Say
say
something.
that.
Yeah, this is Mayor Reddish. I just stopped in to see if the position was filled or what the current status was. And now knowing that it hasn't been, I'm gonna do my best to talk to my council and make a public statement at our meeting tonight and see if we can't find somebody. Just a little team effort here, so, okay?
Thanks.
Okay.
I do want to bring something up to the board. I'm not a board member, but I do want to bring something up to the board for our next meeting in 2 weeks. It is the holiday season, so I just want to see if the board members had any ideas of how to protect the community of Granite County and our children with all of the extra activities coming up. I mean, are we going to have indoor activities, outdoor activities? Is there going to be masks? I mean, I just want to bring this up so that the board can start talking about if there's going to be anything we can help to prevent spread the COVID in the community with the events coming up.
No, we won't know now. I don't know what, if anything's going on.
The schools probably have Christmas concerts planned. There's probably Yule night, that's outside of them, or I guess they do come in businesses.
Yeah, but I think, Jen, I think that would be a great thing to maybe get involved with the local chamber of commerces to see what events are going on in the towns and see, because I mean, like Yule night, I mean, it would be kind of whatever the businesses are doing, I guess.
Perfect. Thanks, Billy.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
If nobody has anything, I guess we can go off until,
So we're going to
9:30.
continue to advertise until the positions are filled, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just so that they know we will continue until positions are filled.
okay, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll go off until 9:30. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Slick out there.
Damn slick.
Okay, we're back on with Paul Alt with his weekly report.
So we are working up in down in Middleport, gonna get that Kaiser Hill's pretty rough, and we gotta get Travelers again and Rumsey as well. He's trying to get Rumsey here in about an hour, just the hill, because it's so rough, and we're working still on the poison patch. We're gonna finish that up with the crew this week. Last week was just too wet. And so we're gonna do what we're gonna do this week, and we'll just see how it goes. But, and then, got some people complaining about their taxes are too high down in Rock Creek.
Yeah. Go to the Department of Revenue.
They're telling you?
Yeah. I said, I got nothing to do with that. Well, anyway, there's some potholes down there. And there is a few potholes down there, but we're waiting for our winter mix to get here. We won't have that till probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 more weeks, whenever they make it. And then we'll go back down there. Try to explain it to them. It's just, it is what it is. So if you hear anything, that's what's going on down
From the beginning of time, they said their taxes are too high and they
there.
got taken off the hospital district, so that's
Yeah.
one thing, Bill.
I thought about that. But other than that,
Did you oil the fence post?
no. We'll do it next week. So I got them all running a roller. So, but we'll get them done. I met with
Betty.
Betty and her husband out there and looked at them. And anyway, told her what we were gonna do.
How many are really split that, like the pictures?
Just took a couple.
That's a-
So I see.
Other than that. Not much, really. We're still out probably 2 weeks on getting that truck with them injectors. They're still waiting for parts. They're hopefully gonna be here in the middle of this month. Hope they are.
Where's that at?
Get transport equipment, Missoula. There's just nothing they can do. They nobody get parts. But for the new plow truck, everything's still on time, you know, they're figuring, so.
So I have a question for you and it's for your time card. Is that, do we need that to, can it
So
be
the-
open or
If it's about the employee's time cards, it needs to be, yeah, it needs to be closed,
unless it's?
unless they waive it, but it'd have to be them waiving the right to privacy.
But it's just his time.
Oh,
It's
so-
his
oh,
time
okay.
card.
So if you waive your right to privacy, you can be open if you want to close.
No, we'll close. I mean, do it right now, but we'll get
Okay.
it off the air.
Yeah, the
So you
only
wanna
thing
close- but
is,
you want to close? Okay.
okay, I saw
Good.
being a payroll clerk once upon a time.
Do we have any, we got a truck ready to go to build sand in, don't we? Kate?
Not yet. We're getting one together here right now. Jake's.
I know the city wasn't,
No, we got we've got one that's completed, our little four-wheel drive, the old one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We just don't put no sand in it because the damn stuff just turns into a concrete block if you don't use it, you know. But no, it's ready to go in 2 seconds.
Okay, I thought of something else, but I forgot about it.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to my world.
So. Sound good, I guess.
yeah.
Well. I'm out of here. See you later. Thanks.
Let's step on the ice out there.
And let me know about that if they got an encroachment permit that we never got.
Yeah, I'll call them.
Oh, that's what it was. Did they get an encroachment permit for that stuff out there by you?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Do they?
Yeah, Linda Bach actually already called me about that.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they're both turned in, signed in the file. I mean, there's a lot of questions about those two permits. But they're filed.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
See ya, thanks.
It's the lake coming up, yeah.
Barely. 3/10. No, northwest Montana getting all kinds of rain, I guess.
Yeah. are they? It's supposed to be
That's the.
Fairview on Saturday, but Titans play is supposed to be 57.
What's that?
Where was it?
Titans go to Fairview and play supposed to be 57 over there.
Here.
Sure.
Yeah.
See it.
You too.
It's supposed to be like here.
Supposed to start raining, isn't it? Alexa tells me the weather every morning. She says it's raining.
Yeah, Thursday, 50% chance of rain. Next Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday, snow, but they have a tough time predicting that far out.
That's next week?
Yeah, but this Thursday and then Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, snow. Rain Thursday.
What was it last week?
46.76. 46.4.
Just moving.
Couple good rains and it could come.
Yeah, yeah, but it were rain good. I mean, everything goes around us.
Yeah. In the summer, it's like it's real spotty, the rain.
Oh, yeah, real spotty. Okay, now it's time for Georgetown Lake outflow.
Make motion, just leave it as is.
It's up 3/10.
Yeah, it's only up 3/10, so going in the right direction anyway.
Second.
Second.
Any public comment? All those in favor say aye.
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 So is it going up like it normally does every year?
It's still a little
Or is it
slow. It's a little slow. It's dry. This year was a hell of a drought. It's gonna take a while to soak up everything.
We're at least 6 inches below the deficit precipitation at my place, I think. It said that in Butte, and I think it's about the same for Georgetown. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna take a while, but just keep.
They're predicting lots of moisture this winter. We'll see.
But normally summer, you get a rain, and out at my place, I'd get an inch, sometimes 2 inches, and that's lake about the same way. And this year was ½ inch at the most, and most of it was like, you get a rain, it was like a tenth.
Yeah. Light, spotty. This is a La Nina here,
What?
a La Nina. I think that means more, that's why they're predicting more.
Yeah, what it was last year too,
Was it?
I think so. And the sun. I guess we're off till 10. Okay, now we're on to talk about the Kelly subdivision, and Linda's here to explain the whole thing.
Okay, so this subdivision was done. The floodplain isn't mapped that far out, so when we get subdivisions where there's no floodplain, we usually ask them to set some kind of a setback or riparian. And they put this no build on. I went down and looked at it when this guy asked for the reduction to move the setback. And there's at least, 10 to 20 vertical feet of drop before you hit the creek. Like it goes up to the creek and then it has a nice drop there. So I can't imagine that it's ever gonna flood, given that vertical drop there. And it's not what I would call riparian. It's got a lot of pine in it. There's a flat space there. And then back where their buildable area is, it is really pine, lots of vegetation that they'd have to cut out and remove. And this is kind of an area that's just, it's flat, it's sort of non-vegetated, it's a good spot. I did tell them that that the building envelope they have is what they have. They, can't just willy-nilly build down in there, but they, they could request to have this spot set out so that they could build the structure in there.
What's the other people say?
They did get, if you look on there, all of the people within that subdivision, they contacted and they all signed off saying that they are okay with moving that building envelope in.
So
and
where is
allowing
it? Where is it? Where is it?
It's,
Oh, where is it? Where is it?
okay, this is,
The old one, right?
yeah, the original
Why
plan.
did I send the wrong stuff?
I don't know yet. That's the original plat. It's hard to see there. That's A is what they want it to be and B is where it was. So
Okay, so that
on
would be.
this plat, it's lot 1, which is that top lot.
Okay,
And they're just asking to put it in the gray there a little bit. So it would end up being like, on this map, it's gonna end up being down here in the gray a little bit.
oh, is that gray? What is that?
And that
gray?
gray is the no build. So it's gonna end up being like right about there.
So, and you're saying that they can change it and it'd be okay?
Yeah, they can change it. We've moved other building envelopes on other subdivisions, most of them are in Badger Bay that we move, and what we usually require is the HOA in that case to sign off on the move before we agree to look at it. And so I had told him, you need to get all your other people in the subdivision to sign off, so he did go do that. He's got everybody's signature there, that everybody within the subdivision was good with him taking a building envelope that's gonna overlap into that. no building.
So where's this drop off at?
It's right on by the creek. It's like right by the creek.
How far back from the drop off do they want to build?
Oh, they're probably they're over 50 feet. They're well over 50 feet back from the drop off. So further, and the drop off kind of gets steeper as you go down the creek. So the place where their house is probably higher than if they were building further over. But
I see.
yeah. Even up there though, it's quite a drop. It would really have to have a lot of water to flood out. Yeah, it's,
If it was that high, what would happen down below?
yeah, you'd have a big problem further down.
Any motion to go ahead and do this?
I make a motion that we accept the request to adjust the building envelope for lot 1 of the Kelly subdivision.
Second.
Is there any public comment on Zoom?
Nope.
Don't see any, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you for your expertise.
Yep.
What do you need?
Yeah, there's a little letter they usually send. I'll try to get you one from that. I'll
Okay.
have it send it
Okay,
down so you can look at it, but,
perfect.
all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Linda.
Well, we're off until 10:15. Okay, now it's time for Flint Creek Hydroelectric LLC in Granite County counter offer letter. I read it, I liked it. What do you think?
Okay, the question I have, okay, is in paragraph 1. And it says, any calendar year maintenance and repair costs, including engineering expenses on Flint Creek project incurred by Granite County as required by FERC that exceed the county's royalties received for that particular calendar year shall be equally shared. So is that saying anything above the royalties, then they will pay half of anything over the royalties? Is that what?
Yeah. But I did say calendar year versus fiscal year. We did have some talks on fiscal year, but
So in other words, if our royalties don't cover it, then anything over what we get for the royalties, we're asking them to pay half.
yeah, so if it was, got royalties of 80,000, 100,000 total cost, 20,000 total, 10,000 each. They could pay off their part though in services of engineering services as agreed upon. They get the same hourly rate that,
Does that mean
Great West.
then we wouldn't have to go through Great West?
well, yeah, I mean, Great West is, would still potentially be your consultant to do things for you, but what, potentially, Electric Hydro could do certain things for you, that yearly inspection, that emergency action plan, that type of stuff. I still think you'd want, for sure, you'd want Great West to be the engineer of record on the project. It
Right.
doesn't mean that they couldn't, do some supplemental work.
Well, and this is, I remember Great West saying too, that they didn't mind if hydro
Yeah,
electric was willing to do, but the problem is will they do it? That's the problem.
well, if they don't, they don't.
So in your
Right.
scenario, then what's to prevent them from saying, okay, we owe you $10,000, but we spent $10,000 in engineering,
But they'd have to show, I mean, they'd have to,
what they did?
yeah, they'd have to show proof of it, let's see, I'm sure if I. Six, Flint Creek Hydro in good faith may complete certain mutually agreed upon engineering services such as EAP, annual inspection and the like. Those services will count towards any payment owed or under.
Okay, agreed upon that.
Yeah, mutually agreed upon and in good faith. They can't just say, oh yeah, we did it, we're getting credit.
So in good faith, then that wouldn't be part of the 10,000 that they would owe.
It'd be, say, under that
If we
scenario,
agreed
it'd be
to it, yeah.
subtracted out, whatever they did, be subtracted.
So they would say, for example, you say 100,000, we get 80, and we have 20 more thousand, and so they owe 10, but they could subtract out doing this thing, this
Yeah,
right here
usually
from the
usually
10.
agree upon the work, we agree upon the hourly rate. and they-
If we agreed to it.
Yeah.
So should we leave it calendar year?
fiscal year, I think would be better. Or do they have it in calendar year now?
The,
Well, no, because we don't have this.
yeah, we haven't, I mean,
See, the reason for fiscal year would be we'd have the total revenues that we receive for that fiscal year, knowing how much we have.
for budget purposes, it would help you probably fiscal year. Yeah, that should work.
I don't know,
It's
just,
easily calculated, the royalties. All right. I'll change that. The other issue too is if, the 2033, the royalties go up to 20%, so, potentially there wouldn't, so then you get royalties
No,
of
yeah.
160,000, then, you're gonna have to do a lot of maintenance to get over that, but it helps you for helps the county for right now, and that's the issue right now. But once you get those extra royalties, you should be in pretty good shape, but never know, I guess, down the line, you get 2035, you get royalties of 160, and then have, it'd be a big year of maintenance, and then they'd still be on the hook for their half. This, I think, is consistent with what the law is, because I think that these added fees here have not been foreseeable. Way above the royalty.
This kind of off the subject, but did you see where they're gonna make it so it's easier to spend ARPA? I think it's ARPA funds. I didn't understand the whole thing. But
I'll have to look
I
at it.
wonder if there's any way we could, because there's gonna be more funds or something, and any way that we could get that on the dam.
I'll look into it. Though when you look at the bathroom and elevator project, I'm not sure how much.
No, we want to keep that the way,
Yeah.
but this is, the way I read it was gonna be more funds. It was gonna be easier to spend.
I'll look, I was thinking, I saw the headline, but I didn't delve into it, but I was kind of thinking that it had to do with the monies that were already appropriated towards the towns, but I may have misinterpreted it too, but I'll look at it.
Well, if you see something,
You have over 500,000 for the courthouse project, so.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
there
didn't
could be
affect,
some
it said it
change.
didn't affect that stuff that was already.
Yeah, okay. So it might be some-
Okay, back on this Flint Creek hydroelectric thing. I know originally that the royalties we received, they're discretionary. And the commission can use the funds if there was an abundance, which is showing a kind of profit, to put in other funds. And I think maybe initially that was what their intention was, is that they have this profit from hydroelectric to put towards other funds that needed money. So I guess in the long run, we would hope that when it goes to the 20%, that we'd be able to do that.
Yeah.
Does that,
Sound good. Hope it works.
Only 11 years down the line. Those figures, what do you think of their potential for FERC to come in on things, but hopefully it seems like it's. All right, so if you do a motion, then you can approve the letter with saying fiscal, with the amendment of fiscal year versus calendar year.
I make a motion that we approve the letter to Flint Creek Hydroelectric.
Second it.
Changing calendar.
Counter offer.
To fiscal.
Except for fiscal year,
Any
for a
public,
better paper trail of funds received.
any public comment? There's one.
Jackie,
Who's that?
Jack Bolster.
Jackie?
Hi. Hey, I just was wondering, I'm reading that, and then do I still need to do the status report that needs to go into FERC every year? And then what about the tabletop? Would Granite County still be responsible for the tabletop exercise, which is required by FERC, or will Hydro take over on that?
I think we're still responsible.
There's a potential where they could help out with it and maybe, take on some work there, but ultimately the county would be responsible on both of those.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Right.
I
Aye. Okay, we're into proposed arbitration with Granite County Road and Bridge Department, Solid Waste Union discussion decision.
They don't have much choice. I mean, they won't budge. Pretty much.
Well, I don't like paying us having to pay for arbitration. All of it.
We don't need it, but what are we gonna do?
Hmm?
What are we gonna do?
So I think if
Rejected.
when he made that, the comment that
Rejected.
came, the comment that came back from the union is surprised that we're willing to spend this potential thousands of dollars.
The response back is that helps get it resolved, and the offer was to share the expense. And then mediator here, when he started, said all the notes would be destroyed, and then Craig was asking for all those notes and everything, they were gonna bring litigation. I said I wasn't aware the commission made any notes, I gave them all the documents that came from that. I said, my notes are attorney work product. I also said that the commission's individual notes, I don't think that's a public document. So, I know that's a side issue, but they, I mean, it got kind of snarly there after the fact.
So, and the reason that we're doing this is the interest of all employees and to make it more fair. And that the road department does get a fair wage and the COLA is going to improve their.
Remember too, that solid waste is part of this too, you
Yeah.
really need to talk solid waste. The, another thing I wanted to explain is the fact finding versus arbitration. Fact finding is basically a limited scope arbitration that talks about where the issues are, the kind of those factual disputes, like is the cost of living higher in Dulles, Granite County versus Butte? That would be one on that. That doesn't solve the question,
No.
it comes to a fact finding, but doesn't resolve it. Then they got full arbitration where you resolve all issues. But you can pay for arbitration and you can be ruled against. I mean, there's a lot of contract, it happens a lot in the sporting world. Sports teams go to arbitration with the players. Sometimes the players win, sometimes the owner wins. But I think the county's paying, strongly believe the county's paying a fair wage and is looking at cost of living. You look at cost of living every year. So it's not given every year, but it's looked at. Yeah, I think.
Well, I don't see why we should have to pay for full arbitration. I mean, I'm gonna just split it.
Well, you think they'd have to pay for half of it, but we doing all the work. It's just like when he called, wanted more stuff from Wayne all the time, you know. He can come get his own stuff. I'm tired of just catering.
So are we responsible?
Well, when he asked for documents, fine, but we asked for documents from them on the cost of living and didn't provide anything.
He provides a map with circles and squares.
I mean, we do all the work all the way through all this stuff. They never have. Now,
And what I don't understand is how can they compare us to Silver Bow County? When we should be compared to counties that are comparable to Granite County.
I agree.
I think that is something that's really important.
Yeah.
That, don't you think?
We're right up there with Silver Bow anyway.
I know, but there it is,
Yeah.
see? There you go, they're right up there with them and their certification and tax dollars worth way more than ours.
How about the idea of the county pays 2/3 of arbitration or something? But yeah, I agree that just all the costs going on the county doesn't seem.
No, they want to do this, let them pay it. That's where I'm at.
Okay, what do you think?
yeah.
Okay, can we do that?
But they rejected, then we just don't go to mediation. Or arbitration. Sorry. Mediation is what we just did, where the mediator, they're kind of the devil's advocate, they're trying to come to middle ground, but an arbitrator that's fine, they're a private judge and they say we could find there'd be good options, but if they don't want to pay wrath, then we just won't go to arbitration.
So I'll make that motion that we reject it, paying for all the arbitration,
And
but we would go for paying half the arbitration.
counter with that.
I'll second it.
All
Let
right,
them know.
any public comment? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 I'll email Craig, let them know. funny too, that, I don't know, the mediator want to stay out of those issues, but he's the one that stood here and said that, or sat here and said, destroy all the notes because it's not.
Yeah, I remember.
used later on.
Yeah.
Then he didn't ever respond.
So have you gone to arbitration before?
I thought we did one time, I was trying to remember, but maybe it wasn't.
Probably just mediation.
I think it was.
Did it get resolved in mediation?
Yeah. I can't remember. that.
Well, I guess I think we maintain our intent that they're getting a fair wage. They're getting a fair wage.
That's why I think mediation would be
Yeah.
successful for the county. Gets it resolved. But
So if they reject that, then what?
I'll have to look at the process, because, yeah. There's likely more negotiations, but I gotta look at that. I mean, you just can't shut them down, I don't think.
Well, then they.
Well, they'd
start-
have, I think they'd have to come up with another offer or something, or,
Yeah, and going back to the process, and if you guys aren't willing to increase it, it's not. going.
so I guess we're off until 10:45. Group health insurance, quote, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Discussion. Do we get any?
I called Janine Campbell. Well, Sue called Janine Campbell, sent her what our current plan offering is. And she called back Friday and I played phone tag with her, and then I called her a couple times yesterday and we just haven't been able to connect. And that's all I have, unfortunately.
So why are we looking at Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Just to compare, I think.
So we don't even have a comparison till March. We won't even have what the cost is going to be. They usually put it out in March. And the last time that we got this comparison was in fiscal of '06. So if we're gonna get a comparison, which is fine, like understandable, we need to probably have Montana Joint Powers and any other insurance company come and give us a quote too. One thing that I know from past history, that they can come in and they'll give you a quote and they'll give you a really good quote. And then the following year, which happened to us in 2006, it went up 70%. And that's when we went to Mako. And if we're gonna look at other insurances, I think we also have to consider the retired people, because Mako offers a very good supplement for them. And we'd have to get that for the retired people. We have to think of them too. So, yeah, I understand looking, but, and we'd have to do it early. Because.
You said in March?
Yeah, in March, they come out with, and you have so long just to accept it.
My thought was, at least Mako knows you're looking around and maybe, the competition can only help.
Well, Mako's always, to me, and being in the clerk of recorder's office for 28 years, Mako has been the best insurance company that we've had, and we've had some doozies. One year, we had to accept an insurance company, which was local actually, and they wouldn't take anyone over 65 or older, which was probably illegal, and it was 60-40. So it was really bad insurance. And then we went to Blue Cross Blue Shield, and then they gave us this really good deal, and then they went up 70%. So that's why we went searching again. So yes, understandably, if they're gonna come back with an outrageous increase, then yeah, we need to look and see what we're going to.
Yeah, you're right. Grass isn't always greener.
Right, and that's the thing, that it happened to us before, and that's the only thing that we'd like to be careful for. And so they don't even know what our quote is going to be until March, but yeah, let them come to us and tell us what they can do for us. And it doesn't sound like they're too interested.
Do you want to wait till March?
Hmm?
You want
No, because then you don't have time to look, because you only have a certain amount of time
to, so you
to
want to go
accept.
ahead with this then?
So yeah, if we can get quotes to see what they can,
From, I said joint power.
yeah, and then there's the Montana Joint Powers, which is trust, which is EBMS.
And the reason why I was saying Blue Cross is Craig Davis said his own insurance through Blue Cross, like their group plan was cheaper than the counties and just
Oh, yeah, I
kind of an
did.
equivalent, kind of 80-20, but it doesn't mean it was just a short conversation.
And the one thing too, we gotta realize the age of our employees. We've got pretty high
Yeah.
age group.
Well, having
And
that supplement is good. The vision and dental is great that NACO has, so, yeah, I'm not advocating, I'm just advocating competition to see if maybe they'll fight for your dollar.
Anyway, my thoughts.
And we'll be able to stop his, that was one of his arguments in the negotiations, although you guys can get a better deal on insurance.
There is no way.
So this will,
Why can't he even be, you can't even bring that.
Well, you know, when he says that stuff, it's really going against his own guy.
Yeah,
You know, it's like, why would you bring that up? You know, just like some of that,
So we're gonna go ahead. Table it for now.
or you look for quote, yeah, I can
Go ahead.
direct
if somebody
Billy to
wants
look
to
for maybe quotes.
if somebody wants to bring something in, I let them bring it in.
I agree.
Okay, we're off until 11. Okay, now it's time for Maria Stopler for the Granite County Medical Center report.
Morning.
Good morning.
The financial report is there that shows a projected cash reserve.
Can people hear her?
I can't hear you,
Okay.
so you need to speak up a little bit.
No, Jen says no.
Okay, I've attached the
Maybe if
financial.
you could come up to the table and then.
So probably, is it going into your mic sitting like, yeah. Uh-oh. You're hooked.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Can you hear? Okay.
Okay, I've attached the financial report showing the checking account balance with a projected cash available of about 97,253, with the projected deposits of about 471,000 through November 15th, and the accounts payable of about 150,000 through that same date, should put us at a projected cash reserve of about 400,000. So if we go to the financials, see on page 2 of the utilization that the Phillipsburg Clinic was 148 visits over target for last month. Hospital billable days were 5 over target, and swing bed billable days were 30 over target. So it was a really good month in terms of utilization, and you will see that reflected in the revenue. So if you jump to page 5, in the revenue analysis, month to date, we brought in 699,908, which was 55% above the prior month and 7% above budget overall for the month. The year-to-date revenue is 7.4% over target. And we'll see the overflow of revenue into October and November because of those increased swing bed billable days. A lot of the increase in clinic volume is related to COVID evaluations. So on page 7, where you see patient revenue versus contractual adjustments on the top. When you look towards the bottom, you can see that there was a decrease in traveler costs in September that brought us closer to budget for the nursing staff overall. We're only $488 within budget there. The next page on the balance sheet compared to prior month and year, restricted cash grew due to a disbursement of COVID testing and mitigation grant monies received. That amount was 112, just over 112,000. So on the next page, you can see that that's the profit and loss versus budget. Expenses are 2% below budget for the month, but they are 2% over budget for the year. So we're pretty much in there. Any questions on that? The administrator's report that was presented to the board at the last meeting. We discussed the current COVID state in the county and in the county and the state overall. We talked about Moderna boosters that were made available for the 65 and older population, 18 to 64 at high risk for severe COVID-19, and the 18 to 64 with frequent and occupational exposure. Our county as a whole, our vaccination rate was up 1% to 38% of the population being fully immunized. And 55% of Montanans are fully immunized at this point, which is up 2% from the prior month. The hospital did apply for the USDA Rural Development Grant called the Emergency Rural Healthcare Grant. And the goal of that is to help broaden access to testing and vaccines, rural healthcare services, food assistance through food banks and food distribution facilities. I submitted that grant. It looks like that we are likely to receive it. There were not a lot of applicants for that one. And that grant is anywhere from 25,000 to $1 million, but our contribution is 65-35. So we would only get 35% of the funds that we submitted for. And then the Department of Health and Human Services announced that it'll distribute another 17 billion in phase 4 distribution from the previously designated 2020 CARES Act, as well as 8.5 billion from the American Rescue Plan. We don't know how they're going to do the math on that yet, but we know the distributions are expected in November and December. In working with the Healthy Granite County Network and their grant through Intermountain Healthcare, we have started our telecrisis intervention service. The access point is set up in our emergency room, and that's available for our patients who come in and need immediate evaluation by mental health services, so that we can determine their needed destination, if they need to go for inpatient treatment or if they're safe to be able to go home. Under human resources, we've had a lot of activity in that in the past few months, but I'm really pleased to announce that Lynn Graham has accepted a position. She's a PA. She lives in Lolo with her family, and she'll be spending the next 1 to 2 months getting credentialed, getting oriented, doing all the onboarding, and then she'll be fully started in January, and she will take Ashley Westfall's place. I think she'll be a really good fit in the community. I think everyone's really gonna like her. She's got a really warm and just a really warm personality. We added several positions, not new positions, but we filled a lot of our vacant positions. And in radiology, we did complete 12 CT scans in September, and that is 2 over our benchmark. So that department's been busy as well. Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Any questions from, yeah, Jen?
Hi, Maria, can you hear me okay?
I can.
I just have one question on your mental health crisis one. You said inpatient. Will they be inpatient with your hospital, or will they be transported to another hospital for treatment if they need it?
Oh, they would be transferred to a mental health facility.
Okay.
At a different location. But
Okay,
But to clarify, we have the access point. We dial in and we get telecrisis intervention services from a licensed practitioner.
okay,
Whereas now we have to wait for that evaluation until someone arrives at the facility. So having this available to our patients to be able to do online will really expedite the service and get them to definitive care more quickly.
okay. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I wouldn't mind going to the next agenda item
Yeah.
Okay.
if everybody's agreeable. And that is inter-facility transports, Granite County Medical Center and Volunteer Ambulance Association discussion.
Well, thank you. Thank you for continuing the discussion. And I'd like to say that perhaps we didn't get off on the right foot with our last discussion. I know this has been a pain point for quite some time. But what I was trying to express is that if we can get collaboration, and I come to you because you oversee the service, essentially, the volunteer, the service. I know there's no contract, which I learned, is there's no contract with Eagle, so they're their own entity. But how can we together get the two, or technically 3 entities to work together, to be more, to not be so siloed? You know, because we've got our Phillipsburg crew, we've got our Drummond crew, and now we have Eagle, but they all operate without any communication or knowledge or collaboration with the other. Our town is growing so fast. I mean, the expectation is there that, you know, there should never be a gap. When people call, they just assume that that service is going to be there. And I think that if those 3 entities work together, that we could have phenomenal coverage. We would never have it come up. Eagle tells me that they're short-staffed. They've only got 1 ambulance to run. And if our Phillipsburg crew is short-staffed, or if our Drummond crew is short-staffed, why can't they talk together? Why can't there be a collaboration? Can we be the conduit that brings everybody together? That says, how do we all work together? How can we fill the gaps? Because it benefits every county member. Of course, it benefits the hospital because we don't want an interruption in their arrival to the hospital or their delivery to a higher level of care. If it's something that is, say they need emergency surgery, we've got to get them out. We can't put them back in the car. That's not safe. You know, that they need safe transport. But what can we do together to get those 3 entities to communicate or work together? Or something?
What can we do? I mean, I think we offered that, you know, the volunteers, we could use them all. You could use them for transport whenever we can get them. And
So Maria, how do you reach out to get your transport? Do you call the sheriff's office?
Yes, we call
911?
dispatch. We call dispatch. And maybe Scott can give me some insight on how that process works, so that if 3 entities don't communicate, how does one know if the other one responded?
So when we send a page, we send it to, like if we page Drummond, DuPage Drummond, and well, it'd be Phillipsburg, up here, DuPage Phillipsburg and Eagle simultaneously. So both services get DuPage. I don't know what happened where you guys didn't get a transport, but as you've seen in the email when I responded, if you can't get a transport because Eagle doesn't have the staff or we can't get volunteers, if you call dispatch, the dispatch is pretty good at trying to drum up ambulances because we've been doing it for the last, I don't know how many years now.
Exactly.
We'll call, surrounding agencies to see if we can get one. So that's how it works.
Because sometimes we don't get any feedback from either side of whether or not they're coming, so we don't know. Is anyone coming?
Oh, you don't have like dispatch doesn't call you back and say, hey, we got you approved.
Not always, no. So we don't know if maybe someone's en route or they're not en route, or do we
Well, I
need to
can
call back?
fix that. It's been when it comes to specifically just transports, you would like a call to say, we can't get approved, or we got a crew and they'll be there in 15 minutes or whatever.
Yes,
I can address that for sure.
yes. But is it Eagle that needs to reach out to our volunteer crew to maybe recruit some of them to join
Eagle is private enterprise
right,
and
but-
we can't really be asking them to reach out.
No, I mean, is that it?
I think they said they would though. She
And-
said she'd consider it.
She said she told me she was taking applications and any of the volunteers are more than welcome to apply and work with people if they want to. And matter of fact, she'd prefer to have some locals on that service because they
Right.
know the area.
And then they'll be paid, which seems like a win for everyone. If they're on Eagles crew, then it's a paid crew, correct?
And it's, none of the volunteers are interested in signing up for the sounds of it. None of them that I know.
So when you,
Yeah, I talked to them.
When you-
Wait, you shaking head? They won't do what?
They don't wanna sign up with Eagle.
okay, the question is, when you need a transport. So you call the hospital, do you need that transport? Do you have a time frame where you can get someone? Or is it immediate? Is it an emergency situation?
It's usually, I would say 90% of the time, it's an emergency situation.
So would there be a way, and so what you offered her is that you can get back to them and say, we don't have any.
I will let my
Which she
dispatchers know
hasn't.
If they cannot get a crew to make darn sure. The charge nurse, is that who you want to know?
Yeah.
That the charge nurse knows that we can't get a crew, or we got one. I'll send that directive out when I get back to the system. If that helps, clear up the waters a little bit.
That would. I just feel like there's equipment, there's people. But if they work together, they could be so much more successful. You know, and we're looking at eventually trying to get our trauma designation back at some point. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure we need to get in place before we can reach that. But if we're in that position, you just have to have a guaranteed response. You just gotta know they're gonna be there. So how do we
That
get
bridge
that?
is good over that time or two, as
Yeah.
far as trying to get trauma.
Yeah.
We ran into the same problems,
Mhm.
not that I know much about it. I know the hospital ran into the same problems because they didn't have any screws at all.
Right,
Yeah.
so we couldn't get that, and if we were able to get that trauma designation, the ambulance gets to bill at a much higher rate because they're part of trauma activation. So it's a gain for everyone involved, but we can't ever get that if we don't get the solid infrastructure of the ambulance.
I don't
Once you
think you're
have that
gonna,
now, you've got it better than you've ever had it before, as far as getting that.
But there's not a
That's not-
guarantee though, but you're
Right.
not gonna get you're not gonna get a guarantee from the volunteer crew is the issue.
no, and the ones down below, they're upset, so you're out of luck with it.
But 99% of the time you're able to get potentially Anaconda or something else to come over.
It just depends what's going on.
So it's not that
Yeah,
high.
I wouldn't even know if it'd be that high, 80% maybe. Because if we call Missoula Emergency Service, for example, they got bad roads over there, so it's hard against anybody. And Powell County's been real good, but when we weren't getting ambulance crews, we were primarily on the north end of the county.
Work with the county on a yearly rate and cover everyone in the county, but then legislature came in and changed the law, so they might be willing to talk.
I think, I know for sure the county's addressing not having an ambulance crew a good majority of the time, because I know, because I go on the calls, and there's ambulance crews there now. When we don't get to transport, that's a big deal, I agree, but I'm telling you right now, it's better than I've ever seen it in a long time.
I want to continue that momentum, and I want to try to see if, I mean, if you look at it objectively,
Have you
there
talked to
seems,
any of the volunteers?
yes,
You talked to
Yes.
Frank Prince?
no, not correct. Monica's on there. If
See
you
what
want.
she has to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, if you're gonna reach, you gotta reach out to both ends. If you want to make this work, you can't just, go
Oh,
out
absolutely,
here.
no, let's use all of our resources. I mean, together, combined, they could be so much more successful.
She's unmuted, Monica is, here is Monica?
I can hear you.
Monica, can
So,
you add
I guess-
anything?
I jumped in late, so I don't know what was discussed prior to me jumping in, but I can tell you that in the last 4 months, there's no point in asking our service to run, because when Eagle shows up, they tell us we can drive their ambulance. They tell us they don't need our help. And there's not even any point. So I don't know what to tell you as far as the volunteer service goes, but I do know that as far as transporting for the hospital, if that's what we're talking about, if the patient has meds on board, your ambulance, there's 2 people in this county licensed enough to take somebody with an IV, but not all the meds that may possibly be on board with them. Your volunteer ambulance services are not licensed for that. And unless Eagle has a paramedic on board, lots of times they're not licensed for that either. So that's going to be an issue as far as transporting for the hospital. Well, and that's not an issue for transporting for the hospital. They're going to have to seek someplace who has a paramedic on board that is licensed, or a nurse on board, unless you're planning on sending your nurse or paramedic with them. I don't know what your solution is going to be, but Lifelight always has a paramedic on board, always. They always have a licensed nurse on board, always. So I don't know what your solution is going to be as far as that goes. And the volunteer services at this point, honestly, across the county are looking at, well, we're not needed because you're paying a service. So there you go. I don't know what to tell you.
What's your perception on the volunteer crews joining Eagle in order to be in a paid position?
There's no way. No, it's not going to happen. We all have jobs. I don't think you understand that the volunteers you have all have jobs. And Eagle's not willing to pay me what I'm worth by the hour. They're not. They're not willing to pay Frank what he's worth when he's in the truck hauling. Step back and go, oh, we're worth $14, $15, $16 an hour. To me, it's a joke. We have our services to cover the county for our community. We're on a whole different level than a paid position.
But do you think any of the volunteers would want to be paid for just taking some on-call when they're not working?
You would have to do a questionnaire and ask them all, because I'm not going to speak for the rest of our service. I'm not going to speak for the individuals that all have jobs.
That's fair.
So I think, Maria, what you're kind of proposing is you'd like the volunteer ambulance to get paid. And maybe they'll make the runs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if they were, my thought was, and I'm not asking you to pay them, because that's a different set of questions. But my thought was, how do we get them to talk to each other? I know there's been some hard feelings, so how do we get them to be more open to possibly taking call for Eagle or just, a starting point would be better communication amongst them. I just feel like they're so siloed.
Well,
And I feel like you're in, I reach to you because you're in the position of, I don't wanna say oversight, but
They're volunteers, so.
they are volunteers,
You can't
absolutely,
sit here and I understand her totally. They all have jobs and I mean,
absolutely.
we appreciate what they've done before and that, but we're asking them now to step away from what they're doing to get paid from Eagle, and they're not gonna do it. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn for Monica now, but
They're not, it wouldn't be good,
I know a lot
but
of
to have the
hospitals, I
conversation.
don't run hospitals, but a lot of hospitals have their own transport and they have more resources, you understand, that their own transport people within the hospital. And I know you already have an EMT who works at the hospital, right, and she's on the volunteer crew.
Mhm.
And Peter's been pretty decent at getting a driver. Matter of fact, he calls in pretty regular. Oh, sorry, we don't have any EMTs, so he can't respond. So I guess, I know there's been past discussions of the hospital having some CNAs or somebody to that effect, that have a few people on the day shift or night shift up there that potentially, and this is not mine, but break away from the hospital or do some transports and stuff. I know that's been a past practice years and years and years ago, but we were talking earlier before you got here, I think, and you mentioned it too, if everybody tries to work together to solve a problem, we'll get work done if they're going different directions. So that's just my thought on it. I don't know. And I know who the volunteer teams up there and stuff like that for years, but I don't know if that's something she can break away and do, because there's a lot of time involved in transports like that.
But they get paid.
So
They'll absolutely be paid.
what Monica is saying is that the volunteer ambulances do not have their credentials to pick up transport. Is that correct, Monica?
Depending, yes, that's absolutely correct. We can in some cases. But if you're an EMT basic and they are pushing meds at the hospital for whatever reason, even if it's just like pain medication or whatever, if they have an IV, very few, there's 2 people I know in the county that are licensed right now to even monitor the IVs. So if the hospital gives an IV for whatever reason, and even if you just are running it to keep it open, your basic EMT by their license cannot monitor that.
So, okay, how about if the hospital has someone that can go with the ambulance that is licensed and credentialed? Would that ambulance call, would we be able to give part of that into the volunteer ambulance and part of it would go as revenue to the hospital? As long as they're providing, and we can't provide any other way? What about that?
No,
Maria?
Is there liability coverage?
There you go, see, so and
I don't know.
you're between a rock and a hard spot right now.
The county's liability insurance would cover it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, she's saying right there that we don't, the volunteers do not have the credentials. So would someone in your hospital have the credentials to get into that vehicle and transport that person?
Well, like we said, right now, we've only got one certified EMT. The others are either a provider or a nurse.
So
And-
this would be working together.
Exactly. I don't know if that qualifies under the county's liability.
if we can find
In
a
the
driver.
ambulance.
Yeah, so it, Marie, or Monica, it would be Granite County Volunteer Ambulance to try to find a driver for transports at the hospital. And it would be the hospital providing the
EMT.
EMT.
So keep in mind that if their EMT is not an AEMT, they're not licensed that way. So that it would have to be either a provider or a nurse. And then you're taking somebody from the hospital off of the floor. And if they're short-staffed already, I don't visualize that as a reasonable solution. And maybe
So
is.
How long is the training for the advanced EMT? Can you ask her, how long is the training for the advanced EMT?
Did you hear
You know,
that?
I don't know what it is anymore, but it's a ton of hours anymore. Because it changed after Frank and I got licensed. Maybe
Is-
Scott Ankerson knows. I don't know.
But if it is a reasonable, if we could get people to want to take that training, can you use your COVID funds to provide that training?
The training is already in the budget for the ambulances. There's money in the budget, in both budgets, to do the training.
I don't
There's a
think we've
grant.
ever had problems with that, the money part, we've always
Yeah.
offered. We've
Yeah.
offered,
It's the
driving.
people part.
There's a grant out there too, they're going for.
Yeah, and
So,
grant, yeah, we would, absolutely. If you could recruit people. I mean, that would be us willing to help.
But we haven't had any volunteers who were interested in that training. No.
It's
So
too
there
many
you're in.
hours. Honestly, it's too many hours for your volunteer service when you have a paid service in the county. And we had people signing up. We had 5 people wanting to take the EMT course. I don't know why we would offer one if nobody's running on the ambulance anyway. So I think you're at a rock and a hard place here. I think your best solution is to talk to Eagle.
Any other discussion on Zoom?
Well, I'll say that if the hospital starts getting approved, we will communicate with them about what's going on, but we'll do our best if we can't get volunteers or Eagle to get enough crew. It may take a little more time than they'd like, but we will do that.
I mean, that's gonna kind of come back on you guys, Maria, being that if it can't get somebody right away, you know, probably have my lifeline. I mean,
If they
we
can
got guys who got know that spot, we're trying to, his dispatchers, they got jobs too. You know, I mean, we're gonna have to help each other. You might have to call lifeline, something.
So we do.
Blaine, would there be something, for example, if she had someone at the hospital that could be in that ambulance, would there be any way that it could be revenue shared?
Yeah.
I mean,
We
this
can do
is,
that and provide the insurance for it. The issue is lack of resources. I think my thought would be potentially add that into a request for a mill levy for an extra employee. But I think looking for the volunteers to solve it.
I don't see it doing.
Any other comments?
Any other ideas on Zoom? Anyone has an out of the box idea?
Nope. So where are we at? Let's sum this up.
between rock and hard.
No, because we're gonna look into what Blaine was talking about. If we could, in what you were talking about, if we could share the revenue share and the insurance.
See, this is something that you took a gamble on the CT scan and it's paying off for you.
Mhm.
And when Scott was mentioning that event, once upon a time, the hospital was looking at that ambulance service and thinking about taking it over, which would be a very good revenue source for the hospital. So that'd be another gamble, whether or not you'd always have your transport. But then you'd be making probably other runs unless,
Transport's probably know more about that than they do annually, but I don't know, we need to throw everything at it we can. I should say nobody's interested in taking EMT because Deputy Royce is in the academy right now, he's got enough to learn, but he did express some interest in EMT. I know in a pinch, we can't always do this. We could put a deputy in driving if they got an EMT or whatever, but I'll tell you, like, this month for sure, they all got 2 holidays, you know. It's just the way it is.
I think put an ad in the paper for drivers. I mean, there's all kinds of people down here that probably could drive an ambulance.
But he said they have a pretty consistent driver.
Yeah.
EMTA, you mean?
Well, you still need more than
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
you know, that might not work out. But,
All you need is a first aid.
To find somebody to put in the back to be
Yeah.
able to
That's-
provide.
well,
the
then this hospital thing, and we're working out, well, Blaine was talking about, and you were talking about working out a revenue sharing thing.
Would that work? I mean, would you be able to do that?
If we could find the personnel. I mean, like everyone
Right,
else, if you can
right.
find
See,
one
this is-
body.
This is not that we're not willing to try to resolve this because you're having problems and have had problems since forever for transporting because people wouldn't transport yet. They said they were 911 and they, for some reason, I can't remember. Do you remember
From
that?
98 to 2000, we never missed an inter-hospital transport. I remember that. And Peterborough ambulance. But we had pretty good crew, lots of volunteers, stuff like that. But obviously, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, EMTs or is that what it's called?
We were MTVs at the time, and Monica's absolutely right. Because an EMTA, you can transport people with IVs in, but if they're pushing meds on that IV, you can't. That's above your scope of practice. You can't do it. They could stop the meds potentially, or like, and I think Eddie's still medical control for Phillipsburg, isn't he? I know he's jumped on a time or two, if that's going on, stuff like that, but it's a more complex issue than people realize, I think. As far as just having an EMT, that doesn't fix it either. If that patient's level of care is above that EMT basic, yeah, there you are. You're still stuck with the problem.
Jen, do you have a comment?
I only have one question, and it's to Maria. I just want to clarify something real quick, is that how many people are you transporting from the hospital to another entity? Is it like 10 a day or is it like 1 a week? I mean, how many people are you trying to transport average a week?
It's more like 3 a month.
It's not so many how many there is, it's just to get them done.
Okay. That was my only question.
Okay, we're gonna have to move on. So Blaine, you want to look into that revenue sharing and let's try to go that route.
Yeah, well, it's just that, like you say, you want to work together and we're trying to work.
Absolutely.
Maria, can I clarify? I'm sorry, Mike, can I
Okay.
clarify something with you? If my dispatch, they will be calling you folks if you can't get a crew, or they did. Do you want them to continue to try to get the crew for you, or are you guys gonna try to do that? Because sometimes if they're busy, I just want to clarify how you want to do that.
If at all possible, if dispatch can continue to try to find a person.
Okay.
But then
Because
doesn't,
normally it's one nurse and one provider in the ER and that's it. If it's weekends and after hours, which is when our busiest is, it's one provider, one nurse.
I'm smiling because we're a little bit in the same boat. We got a bad case of roads going on, but
Right.
that's what I'll tell them.
Mhm.
All right, we'll continue to try.
Well, thank you. Thank you for listening. And if if an idea comes to you, please share it. You know, any kind of feedback, anything you think that would help that cause, please let me know.
And one other thought too, the Forest Service is trying to get a paramedic and they offer.
Yeah.
If they're available, but so I don't know where they're at. But use their service if they could get.
And if I get any feedback about people interested in taking the advanced EMT course, I'll reach out for funding.
Sound good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else? Comments?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you, Monica.
Okay, now we're on county board appointments.
If it's you, I talked Sarah Brown into the TV board because Stephen Mintu has decided to no longer serve on the TV board and not asked to be reappointed.
who's that?
Stephen Mintu has decided to not be asked to be reappointed to the Phillipsburg TV district. So Sarah has applied to be on the TV district. And then for the Tri-County Fair Board, Stacy Menendez has applied, and I personally know her and she is fantastic. And her kids are in 4-H and And then I have an application from me to serve as the tax appeals board secretary because we have gotten no applications and we have a tax appeal. So that's for you.
Would that potentially do overtime, I guess, some weeks or?
I think it would be separate. Right, because
Yeah.
What?
separate, I don't know how Barbara did it.
So if you're working.
Because
40
you're
and you-
salaried,
Oh,
it wouldn't be any additional pay. It would be,
She's salary, I thought she was hourly.
she's a deputy, she's salaried.
it's,
Okay, no, it's salary, all right. Yeah. That's right.
So that being paid, because you can't work
over
overtime
for,
as a
yeah,
deputy,
no,
you have to take comp time.
okay.
So I guess the issue is, does she have time to?
Yeah,
do it?
it's that in your day, would we be allowing you time in your day to do
do
the
it.
tax appeal board? Which would,
Okay.
really, it's minute. It would
Yeah,
be,
they have them on
yeah,
occasion.
it's,
So you still want to be considered?
Yeah, I mean, we have one and it needs to get done. Is kind of how I see it.
Oh, the favorability being on the
Tax appeal.
tax appeal board.
I,
I guess.
I,
You never made a motion.
So you said someone put off at the fair board as well?
CC.
Stacy Menendez, she and her husband are the hired men out at Collin Wards.
Oh,
Or the what?
They are the hired hands out at Nancy and Park Ward.
Hmm.
Collins's place.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have Stacy Menzies on the fair board.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Okay, I'll make a motion to have Sarah Graham on TV board.
I'll second it,
and that's the Phillipsburg.
Phillips board.
For Phillipsburg. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
I forgot to do it. You're so passionate.
Correspondence, and here's something from Lexus Next. Some insurance thing advertising or whatever.
what was that Elena said? Whether correspondence was, do you remember the term, actionable or non-actionable? Would you say this would be a non-actionable?
Well, it's, if it needs to be on, if it's just administrative, then it doesn't need to be on the agenda. But
We weren't clarifying.
Advertisement from Montana Crisis.
I posted those up in the courthouse too, and I actually sent a copy of some of that information, because Leanne had given it to me yesterday to Phillipsburg School Board, or superintendent, I don't have the Drummond superintendent, but it's a lot of information and links for like kids and parents and teachers and just community members for just kind of the mental health stresses of living in.
You were hitting it up?
Yeah. Just send it.
I guess it's a check from,
$5,769.35 royalties for,
Flint Creek.
yeah, Flint Creek project. Received on 11/1. So I guess it's for November, or was it for October?
yeah, October.
The disbursement statement.
Just disclosed. making some money.
And this is a copy of that email, that guy that doesn't want to let private people snow plow limited maintenance roads. I don't know why he's concerned about.
Get their insurance and that, will make them, they gotta keep it, the inspection.
Yeah, I read it at home.
Oh, one thing Cameron Razor talked, freshman, I don't know if he said that there was a guy up there that plowed Black Pine snow last year and caused an issue. And Cameron said, because he's talking to them on Forest Service issues, he's like, you gotta work with the commissioners on that. He said, well, I've talked to Paul, it's all set. Well, he hasn't got on your agenda yet. So just wanted to make you aware that he's thinking he has potential permission to do it again this year.
100% send or have Paul go down, they need to
Get on the agenda.
get on the agenda,
Yeah.
so we can, because we don't want that road the way it sounded last year.
I think that's what this guy's talking about. Just-
Actually, I do too. I know, but he said that.
So
Yeah,
he doesn't want people.
he doesn't
messing
want
with it.
that guy plowing the road up there. He doesn't want anybody plowing the
Is
county
that
road.
Black Pine?
Well, he lives up
Yeah,
In that
in
area.
that,
that could be the issue.
but he doesn't want anybody plowing.
He
the
doesn't want
county.
Granite County to plow it either.
I don't know what he wants.
It's a weird letter.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe you should email back, say, we'll talk to them on the agenda.
Yeah, we need to get on the agenda so we can understand them. I didn't understand it even did, they don't, they get it.
The Red Lion, the guy up there, we said you gotta get on the agenda, so everyone's been told.
It takes a while to read that and try to understand it.
I read it twice.
So I guess not allowing individuals to snowplow county roads. Well, we don't allow.
Well,
in-
somebody just did it last year without permission, is my understanding.
Yeah, and so no, we can't do it
Well, yeah, you can if
Yeah.
we allow it.
if we allow it.
Yeah, and they got
That
that.
insurance.
But he, I don't think he wants anybody.
It sounds like it wants it left alone.
So how all these people up here with these nice houses up, how they can get in and out. This is somebody putting on an EMT course, not around here.
Amy Bancroft did say that there's a
Yeah,
grant. out
that's
there.
that one.
Okay,
That's the flyer from the email.
and she would apply for it, but I don't know if she's applied for it yet.
I don't know either yet. But that's the flyer from, that was attached to that email.
Maybe that could be an agenda item if you want her to apply for it.
So where do they have to go? They have to go to,
Obviously, we get the money to do it here, but maybe not.
Yeah, I didn't got it real close.
Most of those.
so. So what this is saying, he's offering an EMT course. He'd come here.
That's my understanding. They would have it here, but we better double check that.
So we have funds to,
And there's a grant that they go. So I would say it'd be agenda item if you want to give permission to apply for the grant.
I'll reach out and get a little bit.
I think that would be actionable.
Sounds like it. Here, they want to reserve the courthouse for another dam advisory committee meeting.
And I've reserved the courtroom for it, it's November 22nd.
So why do they need another advisory committee meeting?
I don't know, but as soon as I get that agenda, I'll forward
They're
it
still
to you.
formed a meeting. Yeah, I'd love them.
Oh, they're gonna, yeah, fine. I mean, like, they didn't have one for years and now they're gonna have one on a regular basis, which is good.
Yeah.
Did we get any
Nope.
water
No
users
irrigation,
to
yeah.
apply?
No irrigators. I did,
Irrigators?
I-
So all they're going with probably is what Dave Almond's saying, so
I
it's a
think
little
it's
bit
Dave
of a,
Almond's last meeting.
oh, so
Yeah.
hopefully get someone else good in there.
Yeah.
There's a discharge permit, DEQ, and I can't figure out where, but the notice.
Oh, another one.
Yeah, there was a lot of correspondence.
Ramsey.
Oh, maybe that was.
What's the DEQ one?
It's,
There's like,
The Rumsey Mountain.
no, there's a
no,
DEQ
this
one.
one, it's just, there's somebody's trying to get a permit application.
Oh.
information for a stormwater discharge, but they gotta go to that meeting and Lee Metcalf goes in.
They want to
We get
contact
it out.
Non-actionable. I think.
really on it.
No.
Okay, we're in public comment.
Everyone took off.
Yeah.
They're smart. Run for the hills.
Board minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the board minutes for October 26, 2021.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't think anybody's gonna comment, so
No one's on. No one's here.
I guess we can go. Adjourn. Oh, no, no. We gotta talk about that.
Oh.
Gotta close the
Here,
doors.
boy, you did the doors on?